Good morning, St. Peter's. Who are the ones dressed in white? This morning we look at Revelation chapter 7 verses 9 to 17. You might like to pause and read that. Revelation 7, 9 to 17. We look this morning at the overcoming of judgment. The overcoming of judgment. Yesterday we saw the restraint of judgment. Judgment was held back so that God's people could be protected, and also the full number of God's people would be brought into the kingdom. And then we see this tribe, every nation, people from every nation, every tribe and every tongue, before the Lamb, and they're clothed in white robes. And they cry out, salvation belongs to God and to the Lamb on the throne. But look what one of the elders says in verse 13. Who are these people in white robes? Where did they come from? So we have the picture of the throne, and around the throne, remember, there are 4 living creatures, and then there are 24 elders. And the 24 elders are saying, who, or some of the elders are asking, who are these people clothed in white? Where did they come from? Well, earlier on in Revelation, we see in chapter 3, verse 1, I think it is. Let me double check. No, 3 verse 5. The one who overcomes will be dressed in white clothes, and his name will be in the book of life. We see white clothes. In chapter 6, verse 10, a few days ago, we saw the ones who were slaughtered, and it says in verse 11, chapter 6:11, they were each given a white robe and told to rest a little longer. Here again we have people who are clothed in white. And he says these are the ones coming out of the great tribulation, or the great fight. And they've washed their robes and made them white. These are those who are prepared to die for Jesus. This is not saying that every Christian has to be a martyr, but it's saying they're prepared when it comes, because this book is written, people who are pressured to compromise worship of the true God, and they have to actually, some of them have to die for their faith. And this is saying, are you prepared to die for your faith? How do they wash? They actually, that's why they're taken up, and they avoid the judgment that's coming. We're in the 6th seal, and we're going to see the 7th seal tomorrow, the final judgment. And it says, how do they overcome the judgment? How do they escape the judgment? Well, they washed their robes, they made them white. How? It says in verse 14, through the blood of the Lamb. See, through Jesus, the one who has been sacrificed for us, Jesus bore the cost of these followers. He took on all the punishment, and so that we could wash the robes and become white before God. That is, all our account is made clean, and we are forgiven, and we now can stand before the God and before his throne. And this is why it says in these verses, listen to this, for this reason they are brought before the throne of God, and they serve him day and night. They'll no longer hunger, they'll no longer thirst, and no sun will strike them. They sit before the throne of God with heads held high, and they can do that because they've been washed clean by what Jesus has done, and they've been forgiven. And amazingly, the Lamb will guide them to springs of waters of life, and God will wipe away every tear. Their life has meaning and purpose, and they are, because they're now forgiven and set free, redeemed, and so they can follow the Lamb. This is great news for those who have starting to follow Jesus. And tomorrow, unfortunately, we get into the final judgment. See you then.